Alderman President, we will need to see the attorney roll call.
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Mr. Hansford. So, this situation sounds like it was pretty scary, right?
You could say that.
Okay. And I imagine quite stressful there in the moment while it was all happening.
Yeah.
I'm going to step back for a minute. So, June 14th, I went into town with Mitch that day, we met up with Mitch that day, the following week, right?
Yes.
And so you and Mitch and Jessica, you went out to dinner, Hooters, right?
We did.
Stopped at the liquor store on the way home,
We did.
and on the way to the hotel. And you picked up some moonshine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know about what time you got back to the hotel?
I don't know. Honestly,
Okay.
9, 10 o'clock.
Alright. So you guys were sitting there hanging out, drinking some moonshine, watching some TV, right?
But
So this was pretty late at night when the robbery happened, right? 3 o'clock in the morning?
yeah.
So you and Jessica were outside, and obviously it's dark outside, right, because it's night?
Well, it was outside of the lights. Yes. It was dark.
Yeah, okay, so it's nighttime, it's dark outside. And so you had some lights from what I imagine were the fluorescent lights in that breezeway?
Yep.
Okay.
And the pool was lit up pretty well also.
Okay, so so the way this is all laid out, okay, you've got sort of the hotel rooms back here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've them in the center of the hotel. Then you've got the pool right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then over here is kind of the office, the entrance to the hotel.
So on the other side of the pool. So
Yes, so the pool's here and the office is here. So your hotel room 115 is kind of dead center, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you said you saw, as you're out there smoking a cigarette, Miss Rutherford, now your wife, is on her phone, right?
Yeah.
And you saw some men approaching.
Yes.
And were they walking at a normal pace?
Fairly normal, yeah.
Okay. So you observed them walking at a normal pace from when they appeared at the end of the breezeway to the point that they encountered you and Jessica?
Yes.
Okay. As the men approached, you noticed that one had a hoodie on and one wore a hat.
Yes.
And then the gun was pulled on you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's something you noticed. You know guns, don't you?
I did.
And you were able to notice and see that that gun was a black semi-automatic.
Mm-hmm.
The man gave you commands to go inside, lay down on the bed. So you go ahead and you do that. You said you tried to look around the room while they were in there, but it was difficult because they were laying on the bed, right?
Yes.
And then the men, one of the men starts searching the room. He starts touching your belongings, right?
Yes.
So you didn't notice them wearing gloves, did you?
I didn't see gloves now.
And that would have been odd in September, right?
Yes.
So probably something you would have noted.
Probably.
All right. After this all happens, you immediately get on the phone and call 911.
I did.
And we all heard that 911 recording, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned that you work with law enforcement, so you know how important it is to include as many details as possible and to be as accurate as possible. Is that right?
Yes. 20 years of experience of working with the U.S.
And you wanted those men caught who robbed you.
Absolutely.
And so you tried to include as much detail as you could remember, both to the 911 operator and then to the officers who responded later, right?
Yes.
And so on the 911 call, you mentioned that it's 2 black men both wearing hoodies, right?
They both were wearing hoodies.
Okay. And you mentioned that you think one of them is dark gray.
They were darker color, yes.
Darker color. Okay, so in the 911 recording, you mentioned dark gray. Is that right?
If that's what I said on the call, I don't.
Okay. So, after the 911 call, the officers arrive, and you want to provide them with as much detail as possible, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine you would want to provide any identifying characteristics that these robbers might have.
Yes.
Um,
This
So-
also took place outside in the well-lit parking lot,
Okay.
just to make that clear.
I'm sorry.
If you could repeat your answer.
I said that with the officers that responded, that whole interview was outside in the parking lot.
Oh, okay, so you were outside meeting with the officers in the parking lot when you were giving them.
After they got there, yes, they took us out in the parking lot.
Okay. And you would have mentioned that you've seen a tattoo, right?
Yes,
And you didn't.
I didn't, no.
And you would have mentioned if you'd seen gold teeth, right?
I would have, yes.
But you did not see this.
I did not see gold teeth.
And you would have mentioned if you had noticed particular facial hair or any particular facial features as well.
Yes.
And you didn't.
Well, I mean, what do you mean? I mean, you're talking about that night or when I picked them out of the lineup?
In your description to the police officers responding that night, you didn't mention any facial hair or distinctive facial features, did you?
If it wasn't listed in the report, I'd say no.
And you didn't mention at that time that one suspect called the other suspect nephew, did you?
I don't know if it was that night, no, I don't know.
But you would think the report would be accurate from the police.
I would think so.
And so you told the police officers everything that you thought you could remember at that time that would be helpful in identifying these individuals, right?
In which direction they went, yes.
Okay. And you saw them, so this is the hotel, the pool. You saw them run in this direction, right?
I see them go out the door that
See them
direction.
at the door.
Yes.
Okay. And that's the direction that they also had come from, too. So, at that point, you've given the police all the information you can think of, and then you wait to hear back from them, right? See if they've caught anybody, anything new is developed in the case.
Yes.
At some point, and I think you said it was the next day, someone contacts you about your phone having been found, right?
Yes.
And so you were taking steps to try to trace your phone through the Find My iPhone app, right?
No, I had just sent a text. It sends a text
Okay,
is what it does to your phone. It says this phone has been lost or stolen.
okay. And you had suggested to the police, or at least on the 911 call, that they could track your phone.
I don't know if that's true or not, whether that's possible or not, but they do it on TV.
Okay. So in this situation, it obviously was not the police who found your phone, was it?
No,
And you don't know who did find your phone.
I have no idea.
You said you then contacted 911 to let the authorities know your phone had been recovered.
When I got a phone call from the guy who said he had my phone, yes, I contacted law enforcement.
And the police didn't take your phone into custody at that point, did they?
No, they met us at the Super America
All right.
when I got it.
And they didn't perform any sort of fingerprinting or anything, DNA analysis?
Not to my knowledge.
All right, so this happens, so June 14th, you get to the Quality Inn. The robbery happens in the early hours of the morning of June 15th. And then you don't hear from Detective Upchurch until July 29th, right?
Yeah.
So that's almost a month and a half after this occurred.
Mhm.
And you initially hear from Detective Upchurch, and he wants you to go collect some shell casings that may have been fired from your stolen gun.
Right.
Because your stolen gun might be connected to another crime.
I assumed that, but that's not, I mean, he wouldn't tell me anything.
Okay, so you assumed, that something had popped up with your gun, maybe connecting it to another crime.
I assumed, yes, but I had no knowledge of that.
All right. So, the police not only show up to collect the casings, but they show up with some photo lineups as well, right?
Yeah.
And they show you two separate photo lineups in kind of two different formats, right?
Yeah.
So, the one photo lineup where you pick out number 5.
Mhm.
This one is all 6 photos laid out at once for you to look at, right?
Yes.
And then the other photo lineup is just individual pictures that you see one at a time. Do you recall how long the entire process took for you to see the lineups and make a choice?
No, I don't.
And do you recall if the detective, I think you said the detective read the instructions out loud to you?
Yes.
And then you went and you signed and then just drew a line down with your initials for all of the instructions?
Yes.
And one of those instructions, the second one, is that, the third one, it says, I do not know whether the person being investigated is included in this series. Right? Sorry.
Yes, that's what it says.
Now, you strike me as a pretty direct person. You
I
don't
know.
need to beat around the bush.
No, I don't.
Okay. And one of the questions on this form specifically says, how certain are you of your identification? Oh, the question says, I can show it to you.
Sure, if that's what it says.
May I approach her? So one of the questions says, how certain are you of the identification, right?
Where's that? Yes.
And that is the place where you wrote, the longer I look at the photos, number 5 is who I feel robbed me. Right. So
Yeah.
that's your handwriting, that's what you wrote.
There's my headline, yes.
Since the time that you made the identification, it's been a while, right?
It's been quite a while.
Close to 4 years. You learned that Mr. Malazan had been arrested not only with regards to the robbery in your case, but also for a murder charge as well, right? And so you would see his face in the media or on TV, things like that.
But not often, but yeah.
Did the police at no point after July 29th showed you any additional lineups, did they?
No.
I believe those are all the questions I have down.
Just have a few. Okay, so, I want to go back to the June 15th that we were talking about, and you, I'm not sure if you told Ms. Green when you finished, you got back when you went out after dinner.
I don't know exactly. I'm thinking probably 9, 10 o'clock, but
Okay.
I couldn't tell you exactly.
And what you said you went to dinner around 8 or 9, so probably an hour we were in there.
Okay.
So then this all occurred at 3, and so that's about 4 hours or so, a little more. And can you remind me what you guys were doing during the 4 hours, 4 hours?
Hanging out, watching TV.
Okay, and you guys went and got some alcohol, drank some moonshine, and was everybody drinking?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
And
mean,
then,
it wasn't like we was getting a wild party. I mean, had a couple of drinks and watched TV.
I got you. And you talked about Jessica a little bit, and then I guess she planned to go home that night.
Initially, yes.
Okay. And she had work the next day. What time did she have to be at work?
7 a.m.
Okay. And was this in Somerset?
Yes.
And I've been there often, so can you tell me how long the drive that is from here to there?
About an hour, 10, 15 minutes.
Okay, so a little over an hour. Okay, so I guess at 3, she still could have gotten to work on time if she wanted to.
Absolutely.
Just been a little bit tired that day.
Yeah.
And what was she doing job-wise at the time?
Working at Somerset as an EMT.
Okay, so you guys had similar fields?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but she called in, decided she wasn't going it. Excellent, okay. And then, after everything that happened, the police showed up, after Robert, police showed up and talked to, I believe it's an Officer Harris, you remember
That night, I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
We talked to several officers that night.
that night, okay. And, I know journaling and everything was going on, you talking to the new, I know you said 2 black guys, 1 had dreads, you give some descriptions of clothing and, 1 hood up and a hat. Sound about right?
Yes.
Okay. But you didn't mention height that night, did you?
I don't recall them asking.
Is that what, how tall they were? Okay. Or skin color, whether it's dark or light skin?
Dark is what I remember that night.
And do you think you told the officer that?
Honestly, I don't remember if they asked. I don't know.
You remember? Okay.
I'm assuming that they did.
You would think they put that in the report if you said that?
I would think so.
Okay. And you didn't mention anything about a large nose. Is that just a recent thing?
Recent thing? No, we talked to that about that to Upchurch throughout the whole thing.
Okay, so whenever you
With Upchurch.
met Upchurch,
Yeah.
was he there that night?
I couldn't say 100%.
Okay, but definitely about a month and a half later when you met him, is that what that?
Well, we'd been talking on the phone before he come to Somerset.
Okay. Do you remember?
I couldn't tell you exactly when.
Okay. And you said a lot about what they said, but you didn't tell them that night either, like stuff that the suspects said to each other. Give me all you got, yelling.
I mean, we answered the questions that the officers asked us that night.
And they didn't ask you that.
And that, I don't, I'm sure it's in the report what we answered that night. You know, I don't know that they were more concerned about, because it just had happened. I mean, I don't know. You'd have to ask them.
And Commonwealth showed you the identification for the second suspect with dreadlocks. You weren't able to identify anyone, correct?
Not 100%, no.
Okay, and that was about a month and a half later that you saw the pictures?
In the miles, whatever date that was.
Okay. And then, when you called 911, you kind of, when Carlos talked to you a little bit about, you hear you kind of yelling at Mitch, don't do that. What do you think he was going to do?
I didn't know what he was going to do. I didn't know what they were going to do.
And
I knew that we were safer in the room.
that he wanted to go after him.
He was worried about one of the things he was worried about was all the money that we brought from the shop was in his wallet that they took.
Wanted it back? Yeah, okay. And was that gun that he took loaded?
Yes.
Okay. And you said that you guys had driven around the rest of the night?
Yes.
Stayed in the car with Mark, and then you did the gun show the next day. Did you guys get any sleep that night?
No.
You're probably pretty tired.
Pretty
You slept
tired.
at 3 a.m. Okay. And do you remember any idea what time the cops left after talking to you? Is it 4?
You're talking about from the motel?
Yeah.
I think we even left before the last cop left, so I don't know what time it
You
was.
know, but it was, do you remember if it was daylight had started or?
Oh, no.
No, it's still-
It was, it wasn't long after we were robbed. We was like, we're out.
Okay. So you didn't talk to them too long? You didn't talk to officers too long?
We answered all the questions. They said that they didn't have any more.
Mhm.
That was it.
Okay. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Just a couple of clarifying ones. Shay, when you were talking about, I guess it's Find My iPhone thing.
Yeah.
And you were starting to say, what were you doing?
From Jess's phone, where you done the Find My iPhone thing,
Okay.
and it gives you options that, and one of them is you can add a number on and it shows on the lock screen, it says, this phone has been lost or stolen, please contact whatever number you put in there. So we've done that.
Gotcha. So it wasn't a GPS type situation, you're sending a text to your phone.
Right.
So there's somebody-
Yeah, well, it wasn't like I was, oh, well, there it is, I'm just go there. No, that one of the things, yeah, well, like I said, is one of the things you could set up is, I guess it's like a standard type thing, because, you know, it just, when you look at the lock screen, it gives that message. And that, the guy who found it said that he called the number that was on it, said that he found the phone.
Which would have been Jessica's.
But it's actually my dad's. So I put my dad's number in there.
Oh, from Jessica's phone and you put your dad's number in it.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay. And then, just to clarify one of the questions that was asked about, you were asked about whether or not you saw them on TV. Between the time of the robbery and when Detective Upchurch came to bring you the photo lineup, had you seen Mr. Malazan on TV?
To be honest, I don't think I've ever seen them on TV. I don't watch the local news. I may have seen them on social media recently over the trial type thing, but no, not prior to the lineup,
Okay, so not seen them on TV.
no.
Nothing further?
Next one is becoming excused.
You may.
Thank you, sir. You can step down your office. You don't rush on study. I'm gonna make our next witness.
Jessica Hansford.
Jessica Hansford.
Tell us your name.
Jessica Hansford.
And Jessica, the jury just heard from Shane Hansford. Tell us how you know Shane Hansford.
That's my husband.
How long have you all been married?
A little over a year.
Okay. And what was your maiden name?
Rutherford.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a paramedic at Somerset Pulaski County EMS.
How long have you been with them?
8 years.
And were you an EMT? I guess EMTs are paramedics, right?
EMTs are different than paramedics. Paramedics have more abilities, more skills, and more knowledge.
Okay. So were you an EMT prior to being a paramedic?
For
And
5 years.
5 years. Okay. And where was that?
Somerset Pulaski
As
County.
well. Okay. Are you also a mom?
Yes. I have a 7-year-old.
Okay. And the jury has heard some about, or a lot about, June of 2014. Tell us why you were in Lexington, June 15th of 2014.
I actually went to see my boyfriend at the time, which is now my husband. I just gotten off work and drove up to see him for a little bit.
And so tell us what shift you had worked that day, where you were working.
I worked a 12-hour shift, and I was supposed to return the next day and work another 12-hour shift.
And as an EMT?
Yes.
In Somerset. Okay. And how long had you and Shane been dating?
Just a few months, 3 or 4 months.
Okay. And so he was here.
Yes, he was up here for a gun show.
And tell us what you did.
I drove up after work to see him for a little bit, and we went out to eat.
What time do you think you left work?
I left work probably 7:30,
Okay. Do you have any idea when you got to Lexington?
about 8:30 or 9.
Okay. And you said you went out to eat.
Yes,
Where'd you go to eat?
Hooters.
Okay. And what time do you think you all went out to eat?
Probably about 9 o'clock.
Okay. What did you do after dinner?
We stopped by a store,
Okay. Tell us.
a liquor store.
Okay. What did you do from there?
From there, we just went back to the room.
Tell us about the room. Where were you staying?
We were staying in a hotel. We were directly across from the pool, room 115.
Was it the Quality Inn?
Yes.
Why that hotel?
They had a 5-star rating on the internet.
Okay. And I'm going to show you what's been previously marked as Commonwealth Exhibit 4. There you go. Okay. Does this look familiar to you?
Yes, that's right in front of our
And you
room.
can actually lean over and show us.
Our room was like on the side of the post.
Okay.
Like, it's blocking it.
Okay. And the pool is this one.
Yeah, it's directly in front of this area.
And who all was staying in that room?
It was me, my husband Shane, and his friend Mitch.
So you went to dinner, then all stopped at the store, and then went back to the hotel.
Yes.
Tell us what you did when you got back to the hotel.
Basically, we just hung out. He drank because I had work the next day.
What time was work?
It would be at 7 a.m., but I decided to call in.
Tell us about that.
It's bad luck because it was my first time calling in ever. And I had stepped outside to call them. And it only took probably less than a minute to call in and just tell them I wasn't going to be there. And then when I hang up, Shane came outside with me.
Do you remember about what time that was when you stepped down and called?
Probably about 1 a.m., 1 or 2 a.m.
Should it have been later?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so you stepped out to call, and then you said Shane came outside?
Yes.
And show us where you all were.
Initially, we were standing on this side, but then we went and stood against the wall while he smoked.
Okay. So you called and he smoked. I guess, had you finished your call before he finished his cigarette?
Yes.
So tell us what happened.
At that time, I looked to our right and saw 2 individuals coming down the hallway. One was walking in front of the other.
And show us where you, when you say coming down the hallway.
They
where
were
they
coming
from?
down this side.
Okay. Two people.
Yes.
Tell us what you thought at first.
That we probably should go in, just by the way they were looking. It just did not look right to me.
Tell us what you noticed about them.
One of them had a baggy hoodie on, baggy pants, and was looking directly down at the ground. And then the one behind him had a hat on, and he was looking straight forward, but neither one of them, I just got a bad feeling.
And they're walking towards you all.
Yeah. And that's when I decided we should probably go in, so I was trying to pull him in with me into the room.
Him being Shane?
Yeah, Shane. And by that time, they had walked past us slightly. And I heard Shane say, "I'll give you my wallet, I'll give you whatever you want." And I thought that was odd, so I turned and looked, and he had a gun to his chest.
Who did?
Shane did,
Do you remember who was pointing a gun at him?
the guy in the hat.
Okay. What did you do?
Instantly screamed, and the guy with the dreadlocks pointed a gun at my head and said, "Shut up, bitch, or I'll kill you."
What did you do when he pointed the gun at your head?
I screamed again.
What happened from there?
From there, they pushed Shane into our room, and then Shane was standing in the front. The guy in the hat was directly behind him and still had the gun on him. And then the guy with the dreadlocks was behind him, so I was at the back. And I think they forgot about me for a minute because I thought about running, but the way the courtyard is set up, it's just open. There is nowhere to run to, basically. So once they figured that out, one of them grabbed my arm and pulled me into.
Physically grabbed your arm
Yeah.
and pulled you into the room.
Yeah.
Where was Mitch?
He was in the bathroom, I believe, when we were outside, and he heard me screaming, so he went and got Shane's gun from the dresser. But when we walked inside, he realized that they had guns and was trying to hide it in the waistband of his pants behind him.
And what happened when you walked outside the room?
They instantly took the gun because they saw it. And then they looked at me and told me to lay down, face down on the bed.
Did you?
Yes.
And tell us about where the bed is in relation to the door.
When you walk in, there's 2 beds to your left, a nightstand to the right with the TV on top of it. And when I lay down opposite you would if you were going to sleep. I lay down facing the dresser.
Did you remember which one told you to lay on the bed?
I don't remember that.
But you did lay on the bed?
Yes.
What happened after that?
I laid face down so I couldn't see anything, and at one moment I felt the gun to the back of my head, and then I heard him tell Shane to lay down too, and he lay down on top of me.
Okay. What happened from there?
From there, all I could hear was like rummaging through drawers and mattresses, and even a backpack to my right. And then, I guess once they were done, I heard, "Come on, nephew," and then I didn't hear anything after that, so Shane got up, and then once he got up,
I need to interrupt
Is that
you.
okay?
Well, you were laying on the bed, so you were looking down. You couldn't
Yes,
see
all I
where
could
they
see was
were.
the mattress.
You could just hear things.
Yeah.
Were Shane and Mitch saying anything?
Mitch was talking to one of the other guys. I don't know which one, but I could hear him talking, and I know they were both saying, "Don't hurt us, we both have kids, we all have kids, it's Father's Day," and just begging them not to hurt us.
Okay. And so you're laying down, face down.
Yes.
And Shane's on top of you.
Yes.
You hear these things, you hear the rummaging. Did Shane have a backpack?
Yes.
Where was that in relation to the bed and where you were?
It was
laying?
to my right, and then a little bit backwards, it was by a table.
Okay, and you said at one point that you felt a gun against your head. When was that?
As soon as I lay down,
Right
because
after?
he told me not to get up.
Okay. And so you hear the rummaging, you hear them talking with them, and then tell us what you heard when the rummaging ended with them.
He said, one of them said, "Come on, nephew."
You were still looking down.
Yes, I was not looking up.
Okay, what happened after that?
It got very quiet, and then Shane got up, and I look up, and they had already left.
Okay, and so what do you do?
I got up, and I had my cell phone because they didn't go through my pockets or anything, and I went into the bathroom and slid between the toilet and the bathtub, and I called 911.
Why between the toilet and the bathtub?
It felt like the safest place, like they couldn't get to me.
Okay, and you said you called 911?
Yes,
Have you had an opportunity to listen to that call since then?
just once.
Thank you. Your Honor, I would move to play this as Commonwealth's Exhibit 89. I would move to play this as Commonwealth's Exhibit 9.
Where's the emergency?
I called in, just got off the gun.
Just a moment. This is at the main desk?
No, in the room.
You in your room?
Yeah,
What room are you in?
I'm 16.
You know who it was? How long ago did this happen? And what is your name, ma'am? the first floor?
Yeah,
You got a patio that leads outside that where you smoke?
just on the sidewalk where you're just standing outside the room.
Okay. Which way, did you see which way they went?
No,
When you were standing out there, did you see which way they came from?
they came from the right side of the room. If you're looking outside, and they came up from the right side.
You didn't see a car they were in or anything?
They just came walking up to us.
Okay. Can you grab the guns?
No, I can't, probably I can't.
How many other people were in the room with you?
Just one.
Your boyfriend?
And my boyfriend and whatever.
Male or female?
A male.
Okay. Yeah, we'll be there in a minute. I'll have a line with you. You'll be all right. What did they get?
They wasn't again. I don't know what else they got to most away from the bed. I don't know what else they got because I was laying on the bed.
Okay, can your boyfriend or the other guys I describe them? Or got it?
I don't know.
Okay. We should be there any minute. You're gonna be all right. You're gonna be all right. Where are you from? Huh? Somerset?
Very huge.
Yeah, at least a couple of them out in the area. I'll just stay with you till one of the officers is with you, okay?
Right here.
You see them?
Yeah.
They're in the room?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna let you go. All right, bye-bye.
Was that your 911 call?
Yeah.
And you said you made that wedged between the toilet and the bathtub.
Yes, ma'am.
And we can hear you tell dispatch that the police got there. What happened once the police arrived?
They took all three of us out into the parking lot and interviewed us and asked us what had happened.
Did you tell them?
Yes.
What you just told us?
Yes.
What did you all do after that?
Got our stuff, and while we were packing, Shane went to the office and told them we were leaving. They offered us a separate room, and we declined, and we left. We ended up going to the only place open, which was Walmart, and just staying awake until the gun show opened, and then we left and went there.
Why Walmart?
It's the only place really open and lit.
Did you hear from a detective later on?
Yes, we did.
Was that Detective Upchurch?
Yes.
What did you do?
We met at a establishment in Burnside and went through the lineup.
And who's we? Who all went?
All three of us, me, Shane, and Mitchell.
And you said that the detective brought lineups.
Yes.
And how were you all shown those?
Separately, one at a time.
And were you read instructions
Yes,
before?
and we signed too, saying we've
signed
been
that.
ready.
Were you able to pick anyone
I
out
was
of the
not.
lineup? And tell us why not.
They said that if you weren't 100% sure, don't pick anybody, and I was not.
I think those are all the questions I have. Thank you.
Hi.
So it sounds like you had started work on June 14th at 7 a.m., is that right?
Yeah,
And worked a 12-hour shift as an EMT.
yes,
Okay. Then around 8:30, you came up to Lexington, you got to Lexington to have dinner with Mr. Hansford.
yes,
And after that, everyone went to the liquor store.
yes.
Okay. Do you remember what was purchased there?
Cherry moonshine.
Okay. And I think you said that you weren't drinking at the
No.
time? So it was really just Mr. Hansford and Mr. Mitchell Smith who were
I
drinking?
think it was just Shane.
Okay. Okay. And at some point you realized that you weren't going to make it back to work in the morning, but that you would prefer not to, I suppose.
Yeah,
And so you called off that day.
yes,
So you had been at the Quality Inn in the hotel room since dinner time, right?
yes,
And you, so you were staying in room 115.
yes,
So at that Quality Inn, the rooms are kind of in the back away from the road, right?
yes,
Okay? And if I'm at room 115, I'm kind of in the middle, right?
yes,
There's a hallway that comes, an exterior hallway that comes all the way past the hotel room, right? Next from the hotel room is the pool area,
yes,
and then on the other side of the pool is the reception area.
yes.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay, okay. And so what's immediately in front of room 115 is that exterior hallway, right?
yes,
The sidewalk.
yeah,
Okay. And and at least room 115 opens out to that area.
yes,
So you can't drive up to room 115.
no, there's, like I said, the pool is in front of it, so there's parking like to the left and to the right.
Okay. And it was, it was outside of room 115 when you first saw those men.
Yes,
Now, a moment ago, we heard your phone call to 911.
yes,
As an EMT operator, you know the importance of those 911 calls, right?
yes,
That's really the jumping off point for an emergency, right?
yes,
So you were trying to be helpful as best as you could and give them all the information you could.
yes,
So when you were asked to describe the people, you said that they were two black men,
yes,
and that they both had hooded sweatshirts, right?
yes,
You didn't mention the pants they were wearing.
no,
You didn't mention, you mentioned that they had told you to stop screaming,
yes.
but you didn't mention the exact words that they used.
They didn't ask me to.
And they asked you to describe the guns,
Yes,
and you said that the other people would be better able
Yeah.
to do that. I imagine they're more familiar with guns than you are.
yes,
Okay. You didn't mention any tattoos?
no,
You didn't mention any gold teeth?
no,
You didn't see any tattoos? Right?
no.
And you didn't see any gold teeth?
Not that I was paying attention to. I focused on their facial features.
Okay. And in looking at their facial features, you didn't mention whether or not the men had facial hair?
No, not that I'm aware of. I can't remember giving my statement. I know it was out in the parking lot.
Okay. And so they didn't have facial hair, is that right?
I'm unaware now.
You don't remember what you said?
No. The most I've heard is on the recording. I know certain features still about them, specific things. One had a very large nose, dreadlocks, narrow eyes, larger lips.
And he didn't say any of those things to the 911 operator.
They weren't asking for specifics, so no.
He didn't say if they were tall or short.
They didn't ask that either.
He didn't say if they were stocky or thin.
They didn't ask.
He didn't say if their skin was lighter complexion or darker complexion.
They didn't ask.
Other than the guns, you didn't notice if they were holding anything.
No,
You didn't notice gloves on their hands.
no,
Probably would notice gloves in June, right?
yes.
So they probably weren't wearing gloves, as best as you can remember.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. So you say that you were looking at their faces?
Yes,
Okay.
specifically the one with the gun to my head.
Now, this first part of this encounter happened in front of a hotel room,
Yes,
right? It was 3 in the morning,
yes,
so it was dark.
yes,
There were lights on the pool,
yeah,
and there were lights on the
parking lot.
parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
In that hallway you were in,
Yes.
where were the lights there?
It was just from the pool and the parking lot.
Okay. So in that exterior hallway or sidewalk, there weren't any lights?
There's enough light to where I could see their facial features when they were right next to us.
So the light was coming from the pool?
The pool and the parking lot,
And the
yeah.
parking lot. The second floor balconies overhang the first floor hallway?
Yes,
Okay. So you said that you had a feeling that maybe you should get inside the room.
yes,
Before you could get inside the room, the men were there.
yes,
So they came up pretty quickly.
yes,
And once they were there, they had to get in the room.
yes.
And that also happened quickly.
Fairly quickly, yes.
Okay. So you were behind the fellows,
Yes,
okay? And and once you got into the room, they noticed you. They had you lay down on the bed.
yes,
Mr. Hansford laid on top of you.
yes,
You were worried about your safety.
yes.
You were worried about his safety.
Mm-hmm.
You were worried about Mr. Smith.
Yeah,
You were trying to keep track of everything in your head.
yes,
So you heard rummaging.
yes,
You heard drawers opening.
yes,
You heard a mattress being overturned.
yes.
You heard a backpack being rifled with.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you mentioned that at any time, you mentioned that the two guys had hooded sweatshirts,
Yes,
and one also had a hat,
yes.
so their heads were covered.
Once we entered the room, the one with the dreadlocks and his hood up pulled it back slightly so he could look at what he was rummaging through, I assume, but he had it pulled back to where I could actually see he has dreadlocks. The other one had his hat on, and I didn't pay that much attention to him because he had the gun on Shane.
So you only saw the dreadlocks in the hotel room
Yes,
before you laid face down on the bed?
yes,
Officers came that night to the Quality Inn,
yes,
and you spoke with them,
yes,
and I think you just told me that you don't recall the details.
No, I don't recall what I told them, but I know it was in the parking lot right before we left.
Okay.
They had told us that that hotel had been robbed several times.
Now, at some point, you saw a picture of Mr. Malosman, you saw a picture of your story about Mr. Malosman's Canada, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So,
At no point did you see Mr. Malazan or Mr. Canada on the news?
Whenever this trial had started, or that they announced that they had caught them.
Okay. So at some point you did see a news story about Mr. Malazan or Mr. Canada?
Eventually, but I didn't know it had anything to do with us.
Okay. And did you talk to Mr. Smith and Mr. Hansford about that news story?
No. Like I said, I didn't know it had anything to do with us at that time.
Okay. And do you recall speaking to Joshua Powell, an investigator with my office?
The one that came to my house? Yeah.
Okay. And do you recall telling him that you saw them on the news?
No, I don't.
Okay. Do you recall telling him that you spoke with Mr. Smith and Mr. Hansford about it?
No.
The news story you were telling me about that you remembered seeing?
Yes.
Do you remember if that was before or after the police came to Burnside?
I don't remember.
Okay. That meeting in Burnside, does July 29th sound about right for that date?
Yeah.
Okay, so that would be about a month and a half after.
Yes.
And it seemed important, meeting with the police officers. And they didn't just want to talk to Shane, they wanted to talk to you and Mr. Smith, right?
Yes.
So, did you know what it was about before you came down there?
No.
Okay. And you said, did you remember that it was Officer Upchurch you talked to that day?
Yes. And one other.
Okay. And you were shown photos?
Yes.
You were shown photos inside the police cruiser?
Yes.
They told you, after they showed you the photos, they said not to talk about it with Mitchell or
Yes.
with Shane?
Yeah.
Okay. And you didn't identify anyone in the photos?
No.
Now, Officer Upchurch. Actually, going back to the first set of police officers you talked to in the parking lot outside the Quality Inn that night, do you remember any of their names?
No, I don't.
Okay. Might it be Officer Harris? Deputy Councilman?
I honestly do not remember.
When you talked to Officer Harris, do you remember if you told him about the baggy pants?
I don't remember.
Do you remember if you said that one of the men said to you, shut up, bitch,
I remember that.
do you remember saying that to the officer?
I don't remember saying that to the officer, but I remember him saying it to me.
Do you remember, did you tell the officer, or do you remember whether or not you told the officer that Mitch and Shane mentioned being fathers to the men?
I don't remember any of talking to the police.
Okay. So you don't know if you told them? I imagine you would have tried your best to be helpful, though,
Yes.
right? And provided anything that you thought was important.
Yes.
When you were talking to them, were they taking notes?
Yes.
Okay, do you know if they had any recording devices or anything like that?
I don't know.
Okay. Now, you didn't tell those officers about someone saying nephew tonight at Quality Inn?
I told you I don't remember talking to them, so I don't know.
How about when you talked to Officer Upchurch, Detective Upchurch?
I don't think he asked. We were there to do the lineups, and he kept us all separated.
Okay, so when you talked to Detective Upchurch, it was just the two of you?
What he would do is pull one of us at a time into his cruiser and then show us the lineup. And then once I was done, someone else would get in, and that way they kept us separated.
Okay, and after all the photos had been shown, the three of you left?
Yeah.
At no time was everyone together talking to the detective?
No.
Okay.
Did you talk to the detective about the hat you saw one of the men wearing?
I'm not for sure.
Okay. Now, it has been some time,
Yes.
and you and Shane have gotten married.
Yeah.
So, you have talked about this case, though, right?
Not very much.
Talked about what you remember?
Not very much. Not until probably a month ago when they called and said we would be going to trial.
Okay. Did you talk about what the two men looked like?
Not until the meeting that we had to discuss the trial. And we all walked through it. And other than that, we really don't talk about it.
Okay. When you say you all walked through it, who's everybody was all?
The attorneys and me and Shane.
Okay. Walk through not just the process of court, but also what happened that night?
Yes.
So with the attorneys, you talked about hearing the men opening doors at the Quality Inn.
Yes.
With the attorneys, you talked about the mattress being overturned at the Quality Inn.
Yes.
With the attorneys, you talked about the backpack being rummaged through at the Quality Inn.
Yes.
With Officer Upchurch, the Detective Upchurch, you didn't talk about a backpack being rifled through.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. With Detective Upchurch, you didn't talk about doors being rifled through.
When we met in Burnside? No.
You didn't talk about a mattress.
No.
That night in the parking lot, you didn't tell any of the officers that a backpack had been rifled through.
I'm unsure. I haven't seen the police report since we got it probably the day after, whenever it was ready.
Okay, so at some point you did see the police report?
It was probably right after. I haven't looked at it since.
Okay. And when you looked at it, it seemed accurate?
I don't remember.
You don't remember whether it seemed right to you? when
It's
you saw it?
been 4 years.
Okay. When you saw the police report, you didn't pick up the phone and say, hey, you left this part out, or
No.
hey, I wanted to add this. You didn't feel like anything that important was missing.
Not that I'm aware of.
And you tried your best to provide all the information
Yes.
because you wanted this matter resolved.
Yes.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Can you read right back to home?
And a quick follow-up. You remember meeting with Detective Upchurch
Yes.
after this happened? It's about July, right?
Yes.
Do you recall telling them that the man with the hat on referred to the black male with dreads as nephew?
Yes.
And so you did tell Detective Upchurch that?
Yes.
I think that's all I wanted to clarify.
Okay.
Thank you.
May this witness be found to be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Deputy. I'm watching staff. You are free to go. May I call your next witness?
Mitchell Smith.
Mitchell Smith. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give here today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And before you appear, I'm going to call you the microphone. That's 3 minutes, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Judge. Can you tell us your name, please?
Mitchell Smith.
Okay, and Mr. Smith, that black box in front of you, that's a microphone. So if I tell you to just move up a little bit so that we can hear you, I know that, okay? And Mr. Smith, where do you live?
Whitley City, Kentucky.
Yeah, just a little.
Whitley City, Kentucky.
Okay, thank you. And so, where is it in Kentucky?
McQuarrie County.
Okay. What do you do there?
Work at the bait shop.
You still work at the bake shop?
Yeah.
And what bake shop is that?
Hansford Bake.
Okay. And is that for Shane Hansford's father?
Yeah.
How long have you worked there?
6 years or so.
Okay. So you were working there in June 2014?
Yeah.
Okay. And so, are you a parent?
Yes.
All right. We're going to talk a little bit today about, we've already heard from Shane and Jessica, and so we're going to talk to you a little bit about something that happened on June 15th, 2014. And do you remember that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Were you in Lexington that day?
Yes.
Why?
Gun show.
All right. And why were you here for the gun show?
We were selling guns at a booth at the gun show.
Okay. Who's we?
Huh?
Who is we?
Me and Daryl Hansford.
Okay. Who's Daryl?
It's Shane's father.
Okay, that's Shane's father, and then Shane is, okay, because Shane's also named Daryl, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Dad is Daryl and then Shane.
Yeah.
So you came up to sell guns at the gun show with the shop?
Yeah.
All right. Do you know what time you got to Lexington that day?
It was early that morning.
Okay.
We had to get there before they opened to set up. So it was 7 o'clock in the morning or so.
Okay. Now, can you scoot any closer up to that box? Or speak up really loudly?
Okay.
So everybody can hear you. But I think I heard you say 7 in the morning you got here to
Yeah, it's about 7 o'clock in the morning.
All right. How did you get here?
I rode with Daryl.
And so what did you do that day?
We sat at the gun show until, I'm guessing around 5 o'clock or so that evening. And his father, Shane's father, went to Cincinnati to see his wife, and me and Shane went to the hotel.
Okay. Which hotel was that?
The Quality Inn.
On Newtown Pine?
Yeah.
And was that about 5? Is that what you said?
Yeah, we got there a little after 5. I think the gun show was over about 5,
All right.
and we went straight there.
So after you went to the hotel, what did you do?
We sat around a little while and rested up, and then we went out to eat.
Who went out to eat?
Me, Shane, and Jessica.
All right. Where did you go?
Hooters.
And then after Hooters, what did you do?
We stopped by a wine and spirits store, I think, and went back to the motel room.
All right. Do you know what time you got back to the motel room?
Not exactly.
Was it dark out?
Yeah.
And so what were you doing in the motel room?
Hanging out watching TV.
And so, like I said, we heard from Shane and Jessica. At some point, is there a disruption?
Jess was screaming.
Okay. Now tell me about how that started. Where were you when that happened?
I was laying in the bed watching a soccer game. I heard a scream, and I thought they were just outside fooling around, goofing off, and she screamed again, and I knew that it was something more serious.
Okay. So what did you do when you heard that?
I grabbed the gun off the nightstand and went toward the door.
What gun was that?
It was a Springfield 45.
Okay. And whose gun was it?
Shane's.
All right. So you get up and you grab your gun off the nightstand. What happens after that?
I was headed toward the door to see what the problem was, and I got within about 6 or 8 feet of the door, and I heard Shane say, "Just give them what they want, Mitch." And they came through the door.
Okay. Who came through the door?
This guy on the dreads, Shane, and the guy in the purple shirt, and Jess.
Okay. Okay. Tell me what, and you pointed out, when you point, are you pointing to the guy with the braids and the green shirt?
Yeah.
Okay. He came through the door?
Yeah.
All right. And who else?
The guy in the purple shirt.
Okay. And then Jessica and Shane?
Yeah.
All right.
They were kind of behind them as they came through the door.
Okay. Now tell us about the two people that came in. Did you know those people other than Jessica and Shane?
No,
Okay. Tell us, what do you remember about them?
like details about what they look like.
Yeah, what did they, were they carrying anything?
They had guns.
Okay. Do you remember what they looked like?
Just about all I can tell you right off. He had a what seemed like a big nose, but I think he was just flaring it.
Okay. And then, do you remember what the guns looked like?
It was a black gun, but the paint was wore off a little bit. You could see the silver under it.
Who had that gun?
This guy.
Okay. And you said that you had picked up a gun off the table. What did you do with, what were you doing?
I cocked it and was going to shoot whoever came through the door, but my friends were in front, so I tried to hide it before they got through the door, and they seen it
Okay. How do you know they saw it?
because he came straight and took it.
Okay. How did he take it?
I was down the back of my pants, and he just kind of snatched it out.
Okay, like physically took it out of the back of your neck. Okay. After that, what happened?
This fella here started going through the stuff in the room. He opened the mini fridge and checked in the cooler, and he flipped the mattress up, and he checked in the little nightstand and had me lay on the bed.
And I should have asked you this a second ago, but do you remember, you said one had dreadlocks. What kind of hair did the other one have? Or did he? Did you know?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I didn't get a really good look at him.
Okay. So who was going around the room looking through things?
This guy here.
Okay. What was the other person doing?
He was standing at the door keeping watch,
And what do you mean when you say keeping watch?
making sure nobody was coming and we wasn't going to get up and make a move.
Okay. How was he doing that?
He was just standing there with his gun.
Okay. So you said the one guy was rummaging through things. Did they tell you to lay down? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
After he went through my pockets and searched everything and flipped the mattress up from the bed I was standing beside, he told me to lay down.
All right. Now, were you watching him while this was going on?
Yeah.
How long do you think that went on?
All together,
Well, I mean, just this part where you're watching him.
right around 2 minutes or so.
Okay. Are you talking to him?
Yeah.
And what are you saying?
I'm just telling him, you know, we don't have nothing else. You done got what we have, and please don't shoot me. I have babies at home.
Okay. Did you have babies at home?
I had one and got home and found out I was having another one.
Okay. So you tell him that, and then he's flipping the mattress over. Does he tell you anything? Does he tell you what to do? Does he tell you to do something?
He told me to lay on the bed, but besides that, the only thing he said to me, I was telling him, please don't shoot me, and he said, it's going to be okay.
Did you take that as comforting?
Not really.
Okay.
It felt like a derogative statement, you know, just something to shut you up.
Okay. So did you lay down on the bed?
Yeah.
All right. And could you see what was going on while you were laying down?
Yeah, I laid on my stomach with my head up.
Okay. What was going on while you're laying on the bed?
He kept going through things. He picked up the holster for the .45. He went to the other side of Shane and Jess's bed and picked up a backpack. And I'm not sure if he went through it or not. Then he walked back between the beds where the entertainment center was, against the wall, picked up a set of keys. And this guy right here said, come on, if you win, they left.
And when they left, did you see where they went?
They walked out of the room and to the right.
What did you do?
We came to the conclusion that 911 needed to be called. Shane said, I wonder if they found that gun in my backpack. So I argued back and forth with him for a few minutes to get the gun, and then I went looking for him.
Okay. Did you find them?
Pretty close to it.
Okay, tell me about that.
I kind of figured since they went that way, they were going down to the end of the of the motel to go around back or so. When I got to the end of the sidewalk there, I heard them laughing and giggling in the woods. Well, it's like a clear grassy path between the hotel parking lot. There's the hotel parking lot and like a small wooded area, and then a big grassy path behind it that's like 8 or 10 feet wide. And I'm guessing when I went back in the daylight that's where they were walking into there. I got probably within 30 or 40 feet of them.
You could hear them, but what did they take from you?
All the money we made that day at the sales.
Do you know about how much that was?
Upwards of $2,000.
Okay, was that the vape shop money?
Yeah. They took my wallet and maybe $50, I'm not sure. I bought a bunch of junk that day.
Was the $50 yours and not the vape shop's?
Yeah.
Okay, that was your own.
And the gun, that's about all I can recall they got from me.
Okay. And let me ask you, do you remember talking to a detective in this case?
I talked to a few detectives.
Talked to a few detectives, okay. Did you talk to officers that night?
Yeah.
Okay. And then later on, do you remember talking to Detective Upchurch about this case?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember meeting with him about looking at a lineup?
Yeah.
Or maybe a couple of lineups? Okay. Do you remember where that happened?
In a restaurant parking lot in Somerset.
I'm sorry, what?
In a restaurant parking lot in Somerset.
Okay. Is that Burnside? Is that like a little
A
town?
little bit past
Okay.
Burnside.
Okay.
Pulaski County. At the bottom end next to Burnside.
Somerset's at the bottom end next to Burnside?
It's at the upper end of Burnside.
I'm not a
It was like a right there.
Okay, are they close together?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, all right. And do you remember what day that occurred?
Not right off the top of my head.
Okay, I told you July 29th, 2014, does that sound correct? Okay. And do you remember getting into a car, looking in the lineup with Detective Upchurch?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to show you what's been marked as Commonwealth Exhibit 10, Mr. Smith. Yeah, first stage. First, I'm going to show you a sequential photo array form, okay? And I'm going to ask you, do you recognize this form?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And as you can see on here, it's your name, and is that your name?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then there's a list of instructions. I'm about to show you a series of photos of individuals. It's just as important to clear innocent persons of suspicion as any guilty parties. I do not know whether the person that's being investigated is included in this series. Individuals present in the series may or may not appear exactly as they did on the date of the incident because features such as head hair and facial hair are subject to change. You should not feel you have to make an identification. If you identify someone, I will ask you to describe in your own words how certain you are. The photos will be shown to you one at a time, and they are not in any particular order. Take as much time as you need to examine each photo. If you make an identification, I will continue to show you the remaining photos in the series. Regardless of whether you make an identification, we will continue to investigate the incident. And since this is an ongoing investigation, you should not discuss the identification procedures or results. Now, do you remember reading all of those with Detective Upchurch?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and your initials are here. Those are your initials?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then here at the bottom, it says there's a sequential photo array. I have selected photo 2 and 5, and then here's your initials.
Yeah.
Okay? Can you read us what this says right here?
Number 205 looked more like the man with the dreads that robbed me at gunpoint. If I saw them in person, I would make a... Oh, my writing's really bad. Decision
Okay.
from there, and if I saw how tall they were.
Okay. And then that's your name here. Is that correct? Okay. And then the date. All right. I'm going to show you these forms and see their number. Can you see the numbers here on the back?
Yes.
Okay. And can you flip through those and tell me if those are the photos that you were shown by Detective Upchurch?
Yes, ma'am?
Okay. And it says you selected 2 and 5, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so, here, it's small. You have to find the direction of this thing. Okay. Is this the photo that you were shown is photo number 2?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And is this the photo you were shown, is photo number 5?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, here. Look at it.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you chose 2 and 5 at this particular time. But you wrote if you saw them in person, you could make the decision.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Having now saw that individual or seen the individuals here in the courtroom today, do you feel confident with that decision?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you were shown another lineup with a few other individuals in it. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
Okay. But you were unable to choose anybody from that lineup? Okay.
Yes, I guess I got it. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, that's okay. And Mr. Smith, I have a couple of other questions for you. Do you remember Detective Upchurch coming to meet with you about getting some casings from a firearm?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do you remember when that happened?
Yes.
Okay, August 29th?
Yeah.
Does that sound right? Okay. And on that date, when you met with Detective Upchurch, what did you do?
We went to the shooting range and shot a few rounds.
Okay. What did you do with those rounds?
Gave them to the detective.
Okay. When you say we, do you mean you and Detective Upchurch were shooting or you were shooting?
I was shooting.
You were shooting. And what gun were you shooting that day?
A high point 45.
Okay. Do you shoot that at Shane Hansford's range, the family range?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's what you were doing on this day?
Yeah.
And you gave those to Detective Upchurch?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And just one, I'm gonna have a couple follow-ups, but one specifically. Having seen that person over there in the green with the hair, dreadlocks, is that the individual with the dreadlocks that robbed you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you recognize the one in the purple?
Now that I'm sitting here in front of him, I do.
How do you recognize him?
That night, when I was laying on the bed with my head up watching everything, it's like a bad dream that comes back.
So that was that the other man in the hotel room?
Yes.
And Judge, I would move to introduce Commonwealth's Exhibit 10 at this time. That's all the questions I have for you right now, Mr. Smith. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Okay, so, I'm gonna talk to you all about what happened about 4 years ago. And, we talked about mattress being overturned and having to lay down, right? Okay. And, you said that once they had left, kind of argued with Shane and got the gun that he had,
Yes, ma'am.
and you were angry. Yeah.
I just got robbed.
Yeah, so you were going after him. Okay. And do you remember, did you ever meet with a Josh Powell? An investigator with Mr. Long?
Maybe that, like I said, I've met with a few different of y'all. I don't know. Maybe.
Do you remember telling him they were lucky if I were quicker, I would kill them?
That was in the hotel room.
You remember telling him, Mr. Powell, that?
Yeah.
And I guess it's during the same conversation that you told Mr. Powell that you knew their guns weren't loaded.
I said, I think their guns wasn't loaded because they weren't nervous at all. It didn't mean they weren't loaded though.
That when they grabbed Shane's loaded gun, they seemed nervous. You were telling him that?
Yeah, I think it's because they knew we had guns though.
And since this has happened, I guess probably maybe that evening, or go back 4 years ago. The night that it happened, maybe that day or the next day, did you talk to anybody about what happened to you?
Just me, Shane, Jess, Daryl Hansford, and cops.
Did you talk to Shane's dad at all?
Yeah.
Okay. And you have a Facebook account, correct?
Yeah.
And so you posted something about it the day after.
Probably. It's 4 years ago.
Judge Macros. Do you recognize this picture? That Facebook post.
Yeah.
That's your Facebook account? Okay, so.
Or what, but it was this guy. But he had a big nose like this guy.
And do you have his right there? And you just went over the wall where you had written number 2 and 5 look most like the man
Yeah.
with dreads, correct? Okay. Do you want to back in? And I understand you're saying it's the defendant today. You've seen news stories from then to now. You posted some on Facebook.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, Mr. Smith.
Hello.
So that night, you guys had gone back to the hotel room. You picked up some moonshine on the way over there. Who all was drinking in that stuff?
Shane.
And you weren't outside, but you heard Jess scream and you grabbed the gun, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you come out of the bathroom? Were you in the bathroom when you heard her scream?
I had been in the bathroom, but I just came back into the room and was laying down.
And this is a stressful situation, right? Being robbed.
Yeah.
And you said that you noticed both men had guns.
Mhm.
When they came into the room, what order did everyone come into the room?
They came in behind Shane and Jess.
So Shane and Jess were in front, and then
Yeah.
the two black men came in after. And this happened relatively quickly, right? Matter of minutes.
Just a couple minutes.
You noticed, you said, that one man had dreadlocks.
Yeah.
And you said that you also noticed his nose, but that you thought it was big, but it may just have been flared, right?
Yeah.
Didn't notice anything else at that time, like height, clothing, anything at that moment?
Well, at that time, you know, you just had a gun held on you. You're thinking, thank God I'm alive.
Yeah, I
So
understand.
some details may not have came out at
So
the
you're
time.
focused, like, obviously you're focused on the gun when you're being robbed, and you're not noticing a lot about what these individuals are wearing, right?
Well, I was noticing the gun, but I stood there basically the whole time trying to talk to that guy, and
Okay, so after this all happened, the police showed up and they take you into the parking lot that's lit, and they sit in where you guys get questioned by the police, right?
yes, ma'am.
And so you tried to provide them as much information as possible at that point.
Yeah,
You really wanted these guys caught.
yes,
So at that point, you did not mention any face tattoos, did you?
no,
You didn't mention gold teeth?
no.
You didn't mention a large nose?
No, I didn't think I had to, just that me and her were standing right there beside each other.
Okay. You didn't notice if these individuals were light or dark skinned?
No,
You didn't notice whether they had any facial hair or not?
no,
And you didn't mention that one had referred to the other as nephew?
yes,
You did mention that?
yeah,
And the police are taking notes at this point?
yeah.
Do you know if this was recorded?
I don't know if it was or not, I don't think so.
And you said that after the robbery had occurred, you took Shane's gun after a date with him, right?
Yes,
And you went, if this is the hotel, and this is the pool right here, you went this direction and around to the back of the hotel?
yes,
And you said at that point, there's a wooded area, right?
yes,
And you think you were about 30, 40 feet away from the suspects,
yeah,
and you heard them giggling.
yeah.
And if you'd been quicker, they'd be dead. But that's what you said, right?
That just came out of anger, man. Are you gonna be nice about somebody if they hold a gun to the back of your head?
So, at some point, you saw a picture of Mr. Malazzo and Mr. Canada on the news, either the TV or online, right?
Yeah, Shane sent it to me, I think.
Shane sent it to you.
Or he posted it and I seen it, something like that.
And do you remember if this was before or after you met with Detective Upchurch?
Oh, no.
You don't remember? So, on July 29th, about a month and a half after this robbery occurred, you did meet with Detective Upchurch, right?
Yes,
And he had made a request that you and Shane go and collect some casings from the gun range.
yeah,
Remember that? So you knew that there was some other crime they were trying to tie the stolen gun to, right?
it kinda seemed that way.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. If they're asking for casings, it's because they think it's connected to another crime.
Yeah.
So, the officers came to Burnside or near Burnside and met with you in a restaurant parking lot.
Yeah.
And they brought you one at a time into a police cruiser to look at photo lineups.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember what order you guys did that in?
Not really. I think I might have went last.
Okay. And do you remember if the detective read out loud those instructions to you, or if you read them to yourself and then signed?
I think you read them to me and then I read back over them myself.
Did you notice if the detective was recording this interaction with you guys at all?
No, ma'am.
Do you remember getting a copy of the police report after the robbery?
No.
No. when the detective showed you the one lineup, the one where you saw all the pictures at once, all 6, you remember that?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so it's this one, almost exhibit 7. You weren't able to take an individual out of this lineup, were you?
No.
And then the detective showed you a different lineup where you looked at one picture at a time, right?
Yes.
And that was the lineup where you narrowed it down to 2 possibilities.
Yes, ma'am.
And there was a section on the form that said, how certain are you of your identification, right? I can show it to you if you like. May I approach?
It's been a while.
Okay. So this section of the form that the Commonwealth showed you asked you, how certain are you of your identification? And that you read out loud to the jury. And you said in that, number 2 and 5 look most like the man with the dreads that robbed me at gunpoint. If I saw them in person, I could make a distinction from there and saw how tall they were. That's accurate, right? And today you indicated that part of the issue with the photos was that you thought one of the guy's nose looked more like the person who had robbed you,
Yeah.
but maybe the person who had robbed you, his nose was just clear.
Yeah.
So the detective comes to see you, and you're able to narrow down the suspects from 6 photos to 2, right? The detective doesn't follow up with you and show you another lineup or show you any individuals in person, does he?
I've never seen anybody in person.
So you did your best to narrow it down to the extent that you could based off of the information the detective presented to you, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you couldn't narrow it down any further at that point
No.
because all black people look alike to you.
No. I told you I said that out of range.
But it is something you said.
Yeah.
No further questions?
Okay, further.
Nothing further, Judge.
That is witness for time excuse. Thank you, sir. You step down and careful. We have one more witness. You need a break.
All right, this is a very
You
brief
can use a break. All right, let's take about 10 minutes. During this recess, remember, our prior conditions, not to discuss.